Happy New
Ooh, we're
Year.
live. Happy New Year. Okay. Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each episode gives you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedicta and I'm feeling grateful.
And I'm Benedict. Today is January 8th. This is episode number 234, and I'm feeling a little bit tired today. That's the way to start the new year.
You just start the new year grateful, like some of us.
Sure, yeah. I mean, yeah, why not? we had a bit of a rough start into the new year. So Christmas around here was nice. Like I might have mentioned it, but I visited my sister and her family and my nieces and everyone. And we had a good time. Was a nice Christmas Eve, especially with the kids, like big
Mm.
eyes and oh, is this for me? And I don't know, stuff like that. So that was cute. But then the younger, my younger niece, started sleeping a lot the next day and was like not in a good mood, and turned out she was sick. And by day two, I was sick. And I think in the end, almost all of us got the proper flu, and I was out of order for at least a week. And I'm okay now, but still not fully back to 100%. So New Year's Eve was
Welcome to the
basically.
world of parents.
Yes. Yeah. New Year's Eve was basically us just laying there and existing. We did make it to midnight and actually said New Year, Happy New Year and stuff like that, but no alcohol, no partying, no nothing, and then straight to bed. What about you? How has your Christmas been? Because if I remember correctly, you had quite a party, no?
Yes, so I actually took Christmas off, like properly off because I was hosting Christmas. So we had my father, my sister, her partner and their kid come stay with us for Christmas for like 3 days, 4 days over Christmas. So big Christmas dinner and lots of presents and all of that. We also had so my niece is 7 months. So she doesn't really like understand the whole concept yet, but my daughter got her a stuffed animal, a squashmallow, an original squashmallow, not a fake one. And she actually like we have one of those. So and it was funny because that was the only present that she actually got to like open, or like her mom opened it with her, and she actually like tried to grab it and she smiled, and we are like, that those things make Christmas, right? Like this little baby actually
Yep.
seemed very happy about this stuff animal. The next day, they like, because my sister grew up in England, we did like a lot of the presents the next day for the baby, so she didn't have to stay up and on Christmas morning. And at that point, it was just like just so much. I like the baby was like, I don't even know what's happening. But we caught that like very nice moment when she opened or she got that stuffed animal, and that was a good um I think that will be a good memory for my daughter as well. That like her present, and it was a bonding experience. So we had a lot of fun with that. Lots of people, lots of things happening, and then we jumped on a cruise. For the
Ooh.
people who follow me in social media, it's not like a cruise. This is the ferry to Germany, and it's a thing that you can take the ferry back and forth to Kiel. It's what we did when we jumped off the sail trip this summer, and Lillian loved it. And then some neighbors of ours were going, so we were like, okay, let's give her this as like our family Christmas present. Uh, but I mean, it's a cruise, but it's a ferry. It's I don't know how to explain it. So it's like it's a mix of people going there to like celebrate or for a cruise experience, and people who just want to like get to Europe. So it's like a very diverse mix of people aboard, because there's a lot of just like transport, and it's also part of kind of like the postal system. I guess like a lot of trailers go on this ferry, so it's like a dual thing. It's not just a cruise, but it's like a transport with cruise on top. So it was fun to go to dinner, because we've been talking about, like, do we need to dress up? And we're like, no, it's just a ferry. And then we come, and like the first guy in line was wearing like a full like tuxedo. And we were like, uh-oh. But then luckily people behind us were showing up in t-shirts, so it was fine. But it was like one of those moments that you have at conferences sometime, if there's salespeople that show up to a tech conference.
Right.
We're like, we are not mixing. This is we are in different events. But yeah, that was fun. And I get to ship you your birthday present that I didn't give you when I met you in Heidelberg in December.
Yeah, we actually met. Yeah, I'm not sure if we mentioned this on the podcast, but that was fun. So did you ship it when you were in Kiel?
Yes.
Now it makes a lot more sense. Because I was like super confused. You mentioned that you're going to send it, and I kind of assumed it would like be on its way, and then honestly forgot about it. And then I got this letter, like this big envelope with like my name as both the sender and the recipient. I was like, what is this? Will it blow up when I open it?
So
and it turned
I
out to be
also
chocolate. So it was fun.
I also kind of forgot about it. And then when we were going packing for Kiel, I was like, oh, I should bring the chocolates, because then I can send them from Kiel. It's probably cheaper to send it from Germany to Germany than from Norway to Germany. So like when my daughter was shopping, I went to I Googled, I found a Deutsche Post or whatever it's called, with the yellow logo, and it was close by the shopping center. So I go there, I stand in line. I'm like, this is good. I met the best like German post office person ever. Like, this guy had met Norwegians trying to send things from Kiel before. He was like, you came with the boat? I'm like, yes, I just want to send this. And he's like, well, do you have cash? I'm like, I don't have cash. It's 2025. Like, I don't have cash. And he's like, well, Norwegian cards don't work. And I'm like, well, I just have a regular Visa card. Of course it works. He's like, no, it does not work. Like, I've done this before. Like, that doesn't work. And then I remembered that Lillian had 10 euros in her wallet from the sailing trip this summer that she didn't get to spend. So I had to call Ulla and be like, tell Lillian you need her money, and then come meet me at the post office. Because I was like asking, is it more than 10 euro? And he was like, no, it's fine. But I was like, I need something to send it in. And this like post office was super weird, because it was like looked like it was in transition. And then he said, yeah, we don't have any of the packaging because we're becoming a bank. This will no longer be like the post office. It will only be like the post bank. But then, I was being friendly and not like mad with him. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to try to find some cash. I'm going to, and he was like looking in his drawers, and he found this envelope, and he was like, you can have that as a gift. Because he couldn't like put it into the system, because the other thing would have been the medium-sized package, which would have been like huge for these chocolates. So he was like, you can have that as a gift. And then he asked me to wait, and then I sat and waited. I luckily had my Kindle, and then Ulla finally came with the money, which my daughter did not want to part with. So he was like, when mom says she needs it.
I feel like that now.
And then he was like, you need to put a German address as the from person, like the from address. And I was like, okay, I was like, I could look up maybe Monica's address in Berlin or something. Like, I just needed an address. Then he told me, well, you can just put the same address on both. I was like, okay, fine, I'll do that. And in all of this commotion, I forgot to put a card in there, or like write something on the outside that this was from me.
It's all good. Like, I mean, it was fun. And the moment I had it open and saw the chocolates, this is that.
Because there wasn't even a card inside. I just sent chocolate. Like, it's,
Yeah. No,
that
Thanks
Have you
again.
eaten the
I really
chocolates?
appreciate it. I have not eaten it yet. Why not? I don't know why not. But you have given me some of this before and I enjoyed it. So I
Hmm.
know I know it's good.
Yeah. So that was a long story about the German post office, which I found a lot more like friendly and problem solving than I thought. Like I thought it would
I guess you
like
just lucked out.
I think I lucked out. Like he was super nice. And then I didn't even have to stand in line again. He like called me in front of everybody when I had my cash. The Germans in line
Nice.
did not enjoy that I just like kind of snuck in from the side, but it it all it all worked out.
Well, thanks again.
So what's up with work? I mean, it's a new year. We
Yeah,
got to do some
it's the new
work.
year. We got to do some work for sure. Yeah. So I think I first have to admit that I failed the video competition thing we had going on for Q4 of last year. Um, I think I did 4 videos, which is better than nothing, but the goal was 10, and I had a good start and recorded the 4, but then for whatever reason got off track and was not able to get back into the flow. And then obviously I wasn't off between New Year's, Christmas and New Year's, but down with the flu, so there was no progress there whatsoever as well. So yeah, unfortunately failed it. However, Jane, I don't think recorded a single video, so at least I won the competition with her. But I guess you've recorded 5 or so.
I don't
So I
know. I'll
guess
count
officially
them
you're the
before
winner.
next. I'll count them before the next recording, and we'll see who is the official winner. But I also feel like I failed in that regard. Like I was lots of good in the beginning, and then I was just like, no, I don't want to be on video or like talk to the. I don't know. I was just like, yeah, not
Yeah.
us. I didn't have my face in any of the videos though, which helped. But even with that, I was like, okay, no,
Yeah.
not feeling it.
Like even like when you also record your face and they're like, I should probably shave. And did I wash my hair this morning? It's like just more and more obstacles in the way. Yeah. Well, anyways, that's that. Um, Unfortunately, what I also didn't do, which is like not super work related, but I didn't do any like year review stuff, like planning for the new year, reviewing the last year. None of that happened because I was out of order. And then once I got back, I was like back in full on work mode. Um, because most of the team, if not all of them, except for me, were on vacation or had public holidays. I was doing everything for the last couple of weeks. Um, just like regular development stuff, but also manning customer support and yeah, all the fun stuff. Um, so yeah,
So
but
perhaps
I
we
got
should do the
some.
Compass in 2 weeks. Like we've done the yearly
We
Compass.
probably we
I
probably
always forget to prep, and then I
it's
like
already
really
there. I have
stressed.
it printed and
It's
everything, but yeah, it's not filled out at all. I had not didn't have the time to sit down and just like think about stuff.
I'd be up for doing it in 2 weeks because this weekend is my birthday, and I
Woohoo!
am taking myself to my favorite spa in Larvik for a night alone, and I could bring my little compass on the train and try to do some notes while I'm, you know, being in like solitude and looking out the window at the snow glazed landscape or something. It sounds
Hmm.
very, sounds like
That
a,
sounds
a
very
thing
good.
one should
Yeah.
do. Yeah. And then I've been thinking about doing like, I don't know, like a decade review, but then I also don't want to.
Yeah.
So much has happened. Or like the last 5 years. I don't know, maybe like the last 5 years. It's just like been like intense. And maybe I should, but then also I'm just like look forward and just like not dwell too much on it. But we'll see. But it would be fun to do the compass, and then also I'm going on the little retreat that I have often done with a little group of like business owners where we try to like set some goals for the year, and all of that. So it could all like feed into each other. So yeah, I'll print it out before I go on the train on Sunday.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I should make some time and just like look at the stuff as well, and like, because it has always been, I want to say helpful, but maybe that's an exaggeration. But it's been good to just reflect on the year and like look at the goals and even think about what did I do goal wise, and and all of that. So yeah. Anyways, still on the to-do list. However, I also got some feature development done. I used my half-working brain while I was sick to play around with Jean-Claude Code.
Yes, Jean-Claude Code. Jean-Code.
Jean Code, exactly. And well, my first experience a couple weeks ago has been not great, because I was like starting to work on it, and then what felt like 10 minutes into it, it was like, you're past your limit for the day. You can continue tomorrow. And it was like, what? Really? I barely did anything. Second time around was, for whatever reason, a little bit smoother and nicer. Maybe the limit increases the older the account gets. I don't know. But I managed to build a small feature for our like we maintain the data schema of all the data in your app, and I managed to build a thing that figures out the 10 most common values, so we can in theory use them in autocompletes and stuff like that. And I got all the backend stuff done with Claude Code, and it was like, as usual, the first version wasn't great, but then iterating on it and then telling, hey, move this there, move that there, do this. Why don't we do that? Why don't we try these two options? After a couple of hours, it actually turned out pretty well. And while it's not necessarily, I'm not sure it was that much faster overall than doing it myself, but there were a couple of tricky things in there where it was probably faster than me trying to figure it out by hand. So yeah, was a good experience. Had a lot of fun. And the other thing we built, well, I built, everyone else is gone, is we had a customer request that for the forms feature. So we have this feature where you can create forms and then embed it to your website. And we update users based on that and all of that stuff. And they were like, where can I see what people submitted as the answers? And like, their use case was, I think they wanted a form where they can collect suggestions for like new integrations. And they were like, where can I see the suggestions? And I was like, that's actually no such place. It's not, you cannot do it. So
because it's not changing anything on the record. It's just like, this is a
like you
suggestion,
could,
and
in
if they
theory,
don't,
you could map the suggestion to a property on the user, but if they
but
submit
that doesn't make
multiple
sense.
suggestions,
Yeah.
it would always override it, which is also stupid.
Mhm.
And I hadn't really considered it. Like, for me, it was always a newsletter sign up form type of thing, but the use case made complete sense. So we built a little bit of UI to actually browse the form submissions from the past. So added that, and also added a way to, like, when you're filtering users, you could in the past already check that they submitted a form, so you could know that they submitted a suggestion, but there was no way to actually check that they, for example, submitted a Cloudflare integration or something like that. So we also added that, and yeah, rolled this out for this one customer behind the feature flag. They just told me earlier this morning that they are on vacation. I will check it out in a couple of weeks. But still, like, was a nice quick feature to build, and actually a pretty useful one, I think. So that was fun. So yeah, something else we can launch behind like in a couple of weeks, because what has been super successful in the past quarter, well, super successful, I don't know, but what was fun was those mini launches we did throughout almost every week. We launched a mini thing, and that was all stuff that has been sitting there behind feature flags for the past, I don't know how long, forever. And the list of things that are feature flags went down pretty to just a handful. And it's good to add some more to the queue so we can launch more stuff in the future.
I like the mini launches. I think it's a good approach.
I like them too, and the feedback we got was pretty positive. Like in terms of like people were impressed by our speed and shipping things, and in the end, we're not actually that fast. It's just like piled up stuff, right? Piled up stuff
Well,
that
it's
never got
all about
announced.
perception. It's all about
Exactly.
perception. And I
But
think,
yeah,
I think users, I mean, it's this weird thing, right? Where our customers won't, I can't speak, I haven't been speaking enough English. They want a stable long-term product, right? Because they don't want something made yesterday that will go away, and
right.
they don't want too big changes because then they have to learn like new things to change their workflows. But also, I guess it's the tech industry who's like trained people that if there aren't like many things changing, it means the product will like die tomorrow. Even though that might
Yeah.
not be the case at all. Like you could run userlist as is for years to come, right? And it would still
Yeah.
serve the purpose they paid for. But it's the perception thing where it's like, okay, if we aren't seeing new things happening or things being communicated in a certain way, it's like that feeling that they're like something is off, which is weird in a way. Or not weird, but like it doesn't really correlate always, right? There's sometimes where then I think a lot of companies end up adding things that you don't really need, and then you have that heightened like maintenance burden of those features just so it can look like things are happening. So like announcing those little things so that people get a sense that things are moving forward without like adding big features that will end up crippling the product, like that's just like a sweet spot. You get the same perception that things are happening, and you're not like adding stuff you shouldn't be adding just to kind of get a launch.
Right.
So I like this like mini. We communicate the stuff that's been done.
And I guess it's also like just being more confident in even talking about the little stuff. Like,
yeah,
because in the past, like we launched, like we always rolled out mini improvements like this, but usually we didn't tell people about it.
Yeah, now you do, and then you don't have to like pounds in with a new feature all the time because people sense that things are happening, and they're happy that you're a active company. They're not afraid that you'll die. It's like it's all good, and you don't have to pump out like these larger features just to look like things are happening. I like it. I'm going to think about this, like how we can do more of that. I did kind of similar thing yesterday. I started just adding all of the Atsera customers that I know are using Framer onto like an email list, and they got a welcome email that said like, I've noticed you use Framer and Atsera. I'm adding you to this list. Like unsubscribe if if you're not interested. And I got 2 replies. One is like, oh, super cool. Like what kind of program will this be? And I was like, I was just gonna like email like little updates like you've been doing about the stuff that I'm doing for Framer. But he was super excited. And then another lady too was like, yes, I want to be on this list. So that was fun. But I felt like they felt the same thing. Like there's a movement and there's things happening with like Framer and Outseta, and that gets them excited since they've chosen the combo. So it's just like this little thing of just like adding people to the list, which I would love to automate at some point. But now it's me just clicking through the accounts that I know, or like support tickets basically, that I've tagged with Framer. But I do believe we have more customers. But I'll figure out the way to sniff them out and add them to my list, because that's my focus now, is announcing all of the Framer work I've done and documenting it and launching it and all of that stuff. But it's just so much more fun building it. But I'm going to use Jean-Claude and we're going to make this happen. Getting out the documentation that I need and make a video, which I don't know. I used to make so many videos and now it's such a major job to get me to do them.
Yeah. You have to get into this rhythm and just like do it and keep doing it and build the momentum, because yeah. I churned out those 4 videos pretty quickly and then fell off, and then getting back on was hard.
Yeah. No, so that's it was my focus before Christmas too, but it like things slowed down a little bit for me. But now I even like this week. I mean, it's only been this week. It's only been 3 days. Now that I think about it, since I started working again properly, it feels like weeks. But you know, I released a new version of the Framer plugin, which I am like at this stage happy with. So I am gonna then email this list that there's a new version and show them how they can update. So what the plugin does is like add the Outseta script to the project, in addition to some other things. So I want them to click the little upgrade script button so that they get like our latest configurations for Framer, and then create. So that's going to be my first step, so I can talk to the people on the list. Yay. And then I will upgrade the main Framer tutorial to focus on using the plugin to get started. And that needs a video. That's my first 2. This will be done by the next time we talk. I promise.
Wonder if we should restart the challenge for this quarter. But 10 is probably too much.
10 is too much. I will not. No, I no challenge. I'm just going to do the work.
Okay.
Just going to do the work that needs to be done. But we're having like internally, there's a lot of talk about, you know, AI, like you were mentioning now, that even you have started using the AI tools, kind of late to the game.
Yeah, we've been using, like for development, we've been using it a little bit over the last year. So not that late, but
but not like one-shotting marketing websites and that sort of thing. But I find it's increasingly blurry. We got a lot of traffic from ChatGPT to Outseta recommending us, and that seems to have slowed a little bit. And then there's the whole, you know, can people just vibe code their own auth and their own everything now with the vibe, you know, with the different tools, everything from the Lovable and the Bolt to just using Claude Code or something like that. And then more interesting is like our focus has mostly been on Webflow and now also Framer. And, you know, we could like be the power users of those tools. Like they could use Outseta to add on these features that they want, protected content and billing and authentication and stuff. But what we're seeing there too is that both of these companies now have the option of creating custom components, which is code. And almost all the discussion I'm seeing are people like, or mostly designer, little bit like they know a little bit of HTML, maybe a little bit of JavaScript, are then using AI to create these components. So it's like, even if you're not going after the full-on vibe coders, you still kind of have to cater to AI workflows, because even for you know, for these visual builders, they now have that escape hatch of creating things with code. So it's like how it's a it's a not a hard balance. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how we can serve them in a way and not completely change the product. Like it, what do we make? What don't we make? Like there's going to be some hard conversations and prioritizations, I guess, in the new year. I saw that you noted that you're looking into making an MCP server
I
for
did,
I guess the same reasons.
Yeah. Also based on customer feedback. Well, n equals 1. So I had one customer be like, "Hey, think about migrating to something else because apparently they are doing everything in also Claude Code, I guess." And we're basically saying user list feels weird in terms of like that is a separate thing and there's no way to actually put it into their workflow, or like can only put it in their workflow by then copy pasting stuff around and things like that, which is, I get it. Like it's annoying if you're in that environment and like used to, I don't know, getting stuff done that way and then have to copy paste and be manual, like do the super boring, stupid stuff.
So what they
way.
want is not coding. They want to be able to create broadcasts, for instance, from
Yes,
some
exactly. At least that's what I understood from it. It's like when they plan their marketing, they have a chat with Claude and are like, hey, plan a campaign for this and blah blah blah, and then they get the results and they have to copy paste them into user list. And they were like, yeah, it would be nice if there's a way to just like have it set them up or whatever, or customize an existing thing and stuff like that. So I started looking into it a little bit and played around with it earlier this week. Got something working locally to get a feel for it and what it would involve and stuff like that. Not exciting stuff. I managed to create a broadcast that was the shittiest broadcast ever. But whatever, that's not the point. Like it was mostly about getting a feel for it, and then I think for user list it makes sense to have it as a hosted thingy, and so not use the npm run thing where it runs locally and then connects to the API. I think it makes more sense to have like a dedicated HTTP URL where then people connect to. And while figuring that part out, I noticed that while we use OAuth for authentication already, right now there's only one client connecting to it, and that's our front-end application. So it was very streamlined for that, but it did not actually support a third-party client connecting and getting authorized and stuff like that. So after the initial successes with the MCP stuff, I git reset, git clean, and decided to improve the OAuth stuff first. So that's what I've been doing for the past 2 days. Just like having a flow in there, so it actually asks you to authorize the new client. And right now, when you authorize a client, it has access to all of your accounts. So it's basically authenticated as your user. But I guess for this case, for the MCP stuff, it makes sense to hook it into one specific account so it doesn't get confused and like create a campaign in this one account and then the other stuff in the other account. So you authorize it to just one and stuff like that. So that's still on the list of things I need to build. And the other thing I'm working on today is tightening up the permission system that we're using. So we actually enforce OAuth scopes, because so far wasn't necessary, didn't need to. But now if you're like allowing third-party clients, I don't want them to have full access to everything just by connecting. So yeah, currently working on building those permissions in there and checking that the client is actually authorized to do certain things, so we can actually limit access to the MCP server and not have them reset your password.
Or delete all the users or all the emails.
Or delete all the users. Yes, yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm currently working on.
I
I
feel
still
like one
consider
of
this a
the
side project, but yeah,
yeah,
let's see where it goes.
I feel like the good side of all of this AI stuff is that we're cleaning up our practices. Like, you'll take a second look at that kind of security layer and you implement. Like, it wouldn't matter though, because like it was good enough for your use case. But I feel like overall, some of the things we as humans have been asking for, like better documentation or or like other, I don't know, like proper pipelines that do the testing and not just like push to prod, and like all of these like activities around our code that sometimes have been like the companies haven't let employees spend time on. Now because of AI, it's like, oh, we need proper pipelines, we need a proper submission system, we need like those things are getting put into place as and the documentation as an answer to AI. I don't know if where we'll end, but at least I think that's like a positive
Yeah,
thing that's
I
happened.
think what I think is interesting, or what made me like being open to this, is like, in theory, like, we have an API, right? Like, our front end application is talking to our API, but to this day, I have not opened up that API as a public API for others to use. Mostly because we're just such a small team and like want to ship relatively quickly. I'm worried about exposing more of that to other people,
Mhm.
right? Like, because then it kind of locks you in. You cannot like change the structure of the API when you know other people are using it, and you have to properly version it, or like at least notify them about a change. And the more external clients you have, the harder it gets. Um, However, with the MCP server, you could argue it's similar-ish, but because the AI is like flexible enough to adapting to the current state of things,
Mhm.
I think that's kind of it becomes interesting, because then even if we change the way we create, for example, a broadcast, that would just change the tool in the MCP
Mhm.
server, and it would still continue to work,
It would still be the
more or
create the
less.
tool broadcast tool, or the
Yeah,
broad
or just
create
like be
broadcast
another tool.
tool. Yeah.
It might
Yeah.
even be a different tool, but like then
Yeah.
it automatically adapts to the current state of things,
Mm.
right? Like, and if we
Mhm.
change the name of the params, the tool definition changes, and the client adapts automatically because it's not hard coded. So that's
Mhm.
kind of interesting. I can see some appeal in that, and that was the thing that made me explore this, because I could see some usefulness in having tooling and automations, but still not being locked into like making it harder for us to change stuff because external dependencies. So that's kind of interesting, and where my head's at right now.
But it becomes almost like another product. Like, you have to think about what do they. I mean, you could just open it and say like, here's all the things you can do. But as with products, it's like, what would make sense to do from, if it's not for like coding, but for like creating campaigns and like using user list as a user. It's like, what makes sense to expose to them and enable
Yeah.
the AI to do. And I feel like that's for our products that are both kind of developer tools and end user products. It's a little bit hard to kind of know what you should put in the MCP server, the AI or the agent skill, which is the new thing that everybody's
Yeah.
talking about. It's like, or what you, and if they should be different, if you're trying to, in Outseta's case, if you're trying to build an app that uses Outseta, like it needs access to other things to set that up than if you are somebody who wants to look through reports or create a broadcast or answer support ticket or like that kind of use case. And before, it's very much been the API is for the developers, the user interface is for the users, But now it's like, oh, we have these things that can be both, and it's hard to communicate. And
Hmm.
like it's a very moving target at this point too. Because in the beginning, like it was usually technical people who were using these tools, and now it's like everybody. And then suddenly you have to, make sure that they don't suddenly delete all their users, even though you say like, it's this tool can do
Yeah.
all these things, please don't delete all your users. You kind of have you need the same checks as you have in the UI if they're going to use it. Well, if somebody connects to your API and understands like bearer tokens and starts coding, like they know they're going to be able to delete all the users.
Yeah, yeah.
If there's a delete
It's
endpoint.
it's it is very interesting. And I'm not sure where this, like, I'm not even sure we can pull this off in a reasonable with reasonable effort, because like one of the things I see as a potential problem is, for example, let's just talk about like broadcast. Like it's conceptually it's simple, right? Like it's a subject, it's a condition of who to send this to, and then a document with like the content. But the way Userless is built right now, like especially the conditions and the content of the message are like super flexible data structures. And the way, I mean, you could argue there's maybe a problem how we implemented this, but like the way we ensure this fits into the format is basically on the UI layer, right? Because we just built UI tools that you can combine in reasonable ways. Like, for example, a text node is inside a paragraph node and not inside an image node and stuff like that. And right now, the message editor just limits that. But if we now expose this to the API or at the MCP, then I think we still have to do this additional server-side validation thing that we ensure that the data is actually in the correct format. Because now there's like very creative components that like can come up with weird stuff that doesn't necessarily make sense. So I think the biggest challenge, and I might be starting to ramble, but I think the biggest challenge right now is to put enough guardrails in place that whatever the AIs produce is actually compliant with what we expect and need, and not some garbled mess around it. So yeah, that will be the biggest challenge, I think.
I think like one of the things when it comes to content creation or like the use of something like broadcast is like at least letting people get a draft up, because then even if it's like they'll see it's garbled. And I
Yeah.
think we're still at that stage where people are like, well, I didn't get it, and like I'll try again, or something like that, where because I feel like that's between tools, that's where you kind of end up like stopping up, and you feel that flow stopping. Like you're working with Jean-Claude, you're creating campaigns, you're
Mhm.
I think it's a natural point to stop and read the end result and then hit send. Like if you can get to
Yeah.
that point, and like I don't, at some point, when these agents just like are allowed to do whatever they want on their own, they'll be sending campaigns. Like it's gonna it's probably already happening, but it's a more natural stopping point in a
Yeah.
workflow, that you kind of do all of this creative work, and then you kind of wait a little bit, and then you go through it, and then you make sure your segments are correct, and then you hit send. So if you can like get people to a state where at least like they can like finish that session of work,
Mhm.
I think that makes sense. And it's one of the things I've thought a lot about for Outseta too, because we have a lot of just like empty states, like if you sign up. And I'd love to see that we had more of a, like at least the possibility to start with something more. Like, I want to sell
Yeah.
courses, and then we populate some things so that you don't just start with like a totally clean slate, because then you don't, if you're in that exploratory creative, I'm going to test it
Mhm.
out, I sign up, I'm going to connect it, and then it's like, oh, what plans do I want? And suddenly you've stopped and you're not coming back for another 5 weeks, or you forget about us, right? But if we somehow could just like
Yeah.
keep you along. And that was a little bit of what I'm like, where I would want to go with our MCP server if you continue the work on that, is like that you can get into that creative flow and actually, get to a natural stopping point, instead of like being stopped by being like, oh, what should I choose? Like what, where it's no real, there's no good answer. Same thing with campaigns, like what should be your welcome campaign? What should be, it's like there's no,
Yeah.
it just needs to be. It needs to be. So if you can have some sort of like in the flow where it just like gets created and then you can go back and look at it. Yeah, it's gonna be a different way of our users are gonna have different expectations, that's for sure, in the coming year, or they
Yep.
already have, but it's gonna
Yep.
spread like wildfire, and suddenly all our users will have expectations that we'll have to decide if we want to meet or not.
Yeah. Yeah, will be. I mean, it's already interesting times. I guess it's just getting more interesting. But yeah, that's what I'm working on these days. Cool.
We
Should
can stop
we
there.
wrap it up, or do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I just gonna keep doing the work.
Okay.
No, but it because I've, especially for we now, I realize that our product, like the tech side of our product, is so simple. Like we're not making a dev tool, right? We're just using tech to create a website that people can log in and order a bike. Like this is very well tested and common use cases of web technology. So I've noticed that like getting better at using AI and having it work in parallel, which I haven't gotten to that level, I think will be super valuable for we, because we don't live off of the tech, but we need it to serve. And if the AI can make good enough software for that, we can level up a little bit and also get over to a more, even if it's AI, I want to use it to just have like a simpler setup that I've talked about, like simpler tech that is robust and will just like chug along. And that both me and the AI can understand, because it's like simple, but I think the AI will be like a multiplier and help us deliver what we need in the air. So I'm super excited about that. But there are challenges of waiting, the new compile, waiting for it to compile. Like, what do we do while we wait for the AI to complete its work without getting distracted? And, there are still the data modeling that needs to happen and make sure that that's good. Like there's still, but I think I'm very excited about what it can do, especially for we, because I think we can just stay, like me and Ola, like help them with tech, like on a part-time kind of gig, because it's not that complicated.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it's fun times, exciting times. I'm just so grateful. Back to my gratefulness. I'm just so grateful I'm at this stage in my career. Hopefully can leverage these tools and live in in my country, in my neighborhood, my morning walks. Every morning I walk. I'm on my 10th week and I walk around the neighborhood, and it usually ends up with me just being super grateful for like the basis layer of my life. There's always going to be shit happening, but I walk around, I greet my neighbors. The sun usually comes up. There's a little bit of nature. There's houses. It's a good life.
Sounds lovely. Yep. Cool. I was planning to go for my walk when you were like, "Hey, shouldn't we record?" And I said, "Yeah, shit, we should probably record." So I will do my walk in the dark today, but I'll survive.
You'll survive. See you around the interwebs.
See you around. Bye.
Bye-bye.